buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Good morning, my friends. live around the world on the internet at MichaelDukesShow.com and across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. It is the Michael Dukes Show, and it is the Thanksgiving week edition of the Michael Dukes Show. So that means it's a short week, man. It's so good to be with you here this morning as we get ready to take a moment to take a beat and be thankful for all the great things in our life. And I hope that you got a big plan going on for this week. Thursday and Friday, of course, the show will be on hiatus, and we will be enjoying a little bit of a respite there for a 4-day weekend with a great family gathering, some turkey, some pumpkin pie, and all the other accoutrements that we will be dealing with. And then, of course, Friday, people are going to have different traditions for the weekend, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. In fact, I'm going to start off the program this morning asking the chat room, and you listeners who are not in the chat room right now, feel free to go over to Facebook.com/MichaelDukesShow/live if you want to participate this morning. And we're going to collect some Thanksgiving traditions in the chat room this morning. So if you folks have got some very unique or what you think are unique Thanksgiving traditions, things that you do specifically on Thanksgiving, I actually was doing some studying and research on this, and somebody said that they actually do turkey spanking, and they're just trying. It sounds weird, but it's an actual thing out there. And it's one of those things where you inject the turkey marinade underneath the skin and you slap the turkey to distribute the marinade underneath the skin. And so they call it turkey spanking. And it became, apparently it's interesting. So it's, there's lots of odd or weird or endearing, traditions out there. And so if you've got a very special familial Thanksgiving tradition that you always love to do, whether it's doing a special reading or watching a movie or, doing a thankfulness, a tablecloth or whatever it is that you do, feel free to post it in the chat room, and we'll be going over that here later in the broadcast this morning. We'll be going over those kind of Thanksgiving holiday traditions because we need a little bit of lighter side. Because, man, I'm about politicked out for the year, right? There's so much that's been going on, and it's been such a poo parade that we need to kind of to pull back the woe stick there and hold on for dear life. So. Anyway, feel free if you're in the chat room or if you want to join the chat room to share the comments and put things here in the chat, and we will share it here this morning. And no, you shouldn't check OnlyFans for turkey spanking. That's not a good call there. Currently 19 degrees outside the old Radio Ranch here on top of the world in Homer, Alaska. 11 degrees on the hills in Fairbanks, 6 below downtown. 20 degrees in downtown Kenai. A little bit chillier, a little bit crisper, a little bit clearer. And that's okay. After the snow dump that we got here the other day, it's okay that it clears up a little bit and makes for a cold, crisp, and white Thanksgiving. I'm all about that. It's going to be some great stuff. All right, so Thanksgiving stuff coming mostly in hour 2 here this morning. So where do we get started? We get started with some of the headlines from around the state, and we'll see where this stuff takes us. There's some stories going on both up in the interior and then down here on the peninsula, with a few sprinkled in between. One that affects us coming out of Juneau is an interesting story, and surprisingly enough, I don't have a lot of backstory on this. Usually I've got my ear to the ground on this kind of stuff, and I usually hear about what's going on, and I know a little bit more of the details, but I literally don't know anything about this. I hadn't heard anything about this coming on. I mean, surprise, surprise. But Representative Mia Costello abruptly stepped down on Saturday as the minority leader of the House Republican Caucus. Now, Suzanne Downing reported on this over at the Alaska Story. And she says, according to sources inside the Republican caucus, a block of the House Republicans told Costello that she needed to basically step down or else they would hold a vote of non-confidence and vote her out of the position. So rather than force a public showdown, she issued a press release announcing that she would step aside effective immediately. Her statement framed the move, according to Downing, as a thoughtful transition rather than a forced change. But those familiar with the discussion said the shift had been building for weeks as members expressed frustration over internal direction, strategy, and communication under her leadership. Now, again, I had not heard much rumbling about this. I know there has been some dissatisfaction with Costello because as the minority leader, she has she doesn't have an official thing. She doesn't, but she does have a lot of influence over the messaging and the committee assignments and any negotiation that takes place with the majority. She would be involved with it. And I know there's been some rumblings inside the caucus over a few, but I didn't think it was to anything like this level, right? This was kind of surprising. Now, she framed her move, as politicians are wont to do, instead of as a force. I was being forced out. She worded it as if she was doing this all on her own. It's a thoughtful transition. I'm going to work in other areas, time with my family, whatever the communication was. And said she had worked together to bring a caucus together that reflects the full breadth of Republican values across Alaska, which when you write something like that sounds a lot like I'm trying to work from the middle to connect people, or in a bipartisan manner, try to bring a caucus together that reflects the full breadth of Republican values. The problem is, in this state, and this is just my 2 cents worth on top of all this, is that, we've got a Republican caucus that doesn't, when you say to the full breadth of Republican values, we've got a ton of Republicans in the legislature as a whole that I don't think are necessarily reflecting the base core line Republican values to begin with. That's been part of the problem from the very beginning. And is that we have forgotten kind of where we came from. We have, and I say we collectively, as far as meaning conservatives. All right. It's not me personally because I'm not a Republican, but I identify with a lot of those Republican values. And so this was an interesting change. She said, it's been an honor to be at the helm leading our efforts as a caucus to uphold the values and principles Alaskans hold dear. Again, this was kind of a face-saving measure. A selection process to choose the next minority leader is expected to begin in the coming days, with several members already being discussed internally as potential successors. The previous minority leader, Kathy Tilton, is now running for Senate, so they're not going to use her in that regard. But I don't have any backstory here on this. And so if anybody in the chat room or anybody who wants to send me an email to give me some more backstory on this, like I said, I knew there was some general discontent, but I had not heard that it had gotten to this level of, I guess I won't say animosity, but maybe acrimony was the closer situation here. So I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see, we'll see what's going on. And what does this mean for the upcoming session? I don't think it changes anything other than maybe the internals of where things are going. That will be the interesting part here to see where things go for there. What was the other story? I wanted to talk about there was I've got too many windows open this morning. I'm trying to find out where my story is. There's 3 names that now have been submitted. Here we go. Thank you so much. 3 names to replace Shelley Hughes. So as we know from talking with Shelley Hughes last week, she has stepped down from the Senate to focus full-time running for the governor's mansion. And now 3 names have been submitted for Mike Dunleavy's consideration. The votes are in. Everything's done. Kathy Tilton received the highest number of votes with 37, followed by Mat-Su School Board member Tom Berge, who followed with 31 votes, and conservative activist Jerry Deal, who received 26 votes. Now, all 3 names are going to move to the governor, who has to choose from those list of 3. Kathy Tilton, who's currently serving in the House for Wasilla, is a well-known ally to Dunleavy. So, more than likely, that's what we'll be looking at as we go through there. I have never had any dealings with Tom Berge or Jerry Deal, but who knows? Maybe that's something that we'll have to remedy here in the future to try and get more details. But as of right now, I think it's probably it's Vegas odds that Kathy Tilton will be appointed to that seat, and we'll see where it goes from here. The governor has until what is the day? It's 30 days, right? So the governor's got another 2.5 weeks to make that decision and then make the announcement. So we'll know. I guess we'll know. That means we'll know before the governor puts out his next budget, which is due on the 15th of December. So we should know here. We should know here probably no later than Friday the 12th. What's going on with that? We'll see. We'll see where it goes from there, because it's a 30-day window where the party has, I think the party has 14 days to submit the names, and then the governor's got another 16 days to make the announcement or to make the appointment beyond that. So anyway, not really surprising that Kathy Tilton received the highest number of votes. She's the most well-known and has been most vocal about it, and was already kind of moving in that direction. So we'll see where it goes from there. Anyway, so that's kind of the Juneau news to start things off. When we get back, we'll I have to push the right button. I haven't had enough coffee yet today. When we get back, we will discuss stuff going up in the Fairbanks area, which is kind of wild and woolly in Fairbanks the last couple days. I mean, I don't know if it's because we're just noticing it more or if it's really getting kind of more Wild West up there. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Dukes Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We return with more after this.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Hi, guys. How are you? How are you? What's going on in your world? What's happening in your world? Sorry, I should go over here and do this. That's one. I'm just working on stuff. You know, stuff and things. Oh, all right. I'm sorry. I got a million. My brain is moving 1,000,000 miles an hour. That's we do be 3 minutes and 30 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Too many. It's too many. It's too many. Okay. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So, you guys all ready for you ready for another beautiful day? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Okay. Got it. I think that's enough. 1, 2, 3. No, I do need I did. All right. I think that's enough. Hopefully we didn't screw anything up. Okay. Christmas on your mind, says Kim, and gobble gobble. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where I'm at. I was doing some show prep and planning yesterday, and I was like, no, don't care. Right? I was just kind of like, just don't care. Yeah, it sounds like both of those names that could be good to replace Kathy once she's in the Senate. I think that would be a good choice there. My world is full of betrayal, says Anthony. I've made the unfortunate discovery that some 10mm ammunition is really 40 caliber cosplaying as a real man, and I'm upset about it. Did you get some misboxed stuff? I'm interested to hear what's going on. Kevin McCabe, Rep. Kevin McCabe says he will likely make his decision in the next few days. The Senate wants to vote on both selections at the same time. Well, that'll be interesting. That'll be good. Let's see, Richie, most of them getting wrapped up in playing political theater, perpetuating problems rather than doing what they were elected to do so they could avoid getting back into private sector and in the private sector and getting a real job. It's a little harsh, Richie, although not necessarily untrue. I mean, I would argue that there are some people in there like that. Scott Kawasaki. But we'll see. We'll see what's going on. Anthony said, if I'm being objectively honest, I'm not sure what Republican even means anymore. Much like the Democrats, it seems like the mainstream groups have all fragmented into subsets of themselves and diminished whatever power they had. Maybe we're watching the beginning of the fracturing of a two-party system that, maybe we'll have to see what's going on with that. Okay, I'm going back here. I think I'm all caught up. Terry said that Mia was a very weak leader, so that was her comment on that. Miguel says, let's not forget to be grateful for all, no matter how little or how much we are blessed. I agree, Miguel. Okay. Look at that. I timed everything right. I did it right, even though not enough coffee. That's okay. We're going to get to it. The Michael Duke Show.
Public enema number one. Oh, wait, sorry. Public enemy number one, which makes more sense. On the other hand, he's a little bit of a pain in the Michael Duke Show.
Well, it's a Monday. We were talking about politics and how I said that maybe what we're seeing here is the beginning of a fracturing of the two-party system. And that's kind of wishful thinking maybe on my part or kind of very hopeful thinking. And I was saying that because Anthony in the chat room made a comment about not really knowing what Republican even means or Democrats, because it's like both groups have fragmented and, they're into subsets and everything. And Chris in the chat room said, fracturing of the two-party system, don't give me hope. Be still my heart. Yeah, well, it does happen. So anyway, let's dive into some of the other headlines that are out and about around the communities. Anchorage has been getting a lot of highlights here on the old program because, well, there was, there's always something crazy happening in Anchorage. But then this morning, as I was doing some prep and taking a look at things, I was looking at the headlines from around the around the Fairbanks area, and I'm like, what? Yeah, it's there's some good news, and we'll get to that here in a second. We'll get to some good news here in just a second. But the whole thing starts off with a story about in the same day, in just a few short minutes. First, a 34-year-old woman in Fairbanks was found dead in a shooting Saturday morning, according to troopers. 2 a.m. on Saturday morning, troopers were alerted to a disturbance and a gunshot in Vassar Circle. That's over in University West area there. They said a preliminary investigation showed that Brooklyn Whitman, 27, of Anchorage, don't let people in Anchorage into your home, got into an argument with 34-year-old Ashley Spann at the home, and Whitman is then accused of shooting Spann, who died. So they got into an argument. So first-degree murder charges are being forwarded, apparently, over that one. And then about an hour later, it was reported that a man was found dead that very same morning on the other side of town near a gas station on Farmers Loop. The 37-year-old man is identified as Michael Boyd of Fairbanks. and the troopers said that they believe this was a homicide. And so they're asking for information about what has happened. If anybody's got a dash cam video around the area of Farmers Loop and the Oldsties between midnight and 1 a.m., they're asked to call the troopers to provide, maybe some video evidence of things that were happening alongside the roadway or whatever out there. But I mean, two homicides in the same night on opposite sides of town. I mean, that just sounds, it just sounds great. What's happening? What's going on here? Could somebody educate me as to what exactly is the big, And then of course, we got the latest and greatest out of Anchorage, which I mean, no big surprise. Two men are. Whoa, hey, what the? Sorry, my window just popped a big. It just went crazy. Let me do this again. The two men are facing more than a dozen felony and misdemeanor charges after investigators say they carried out a series of drive-by shootings Sunday afternoon in Mountain View that injured one man and left several others, including children, in fear of their lives. They actually got both of these guys, and they both face 14 charges. Investigators say a pair discharged a firearm from a moving vehicle during at least two separate shootings that afternoon, sending bullets into occupied homes, a vehicle, and through a downtown street. The charging documents, they first came out apparently at 3:40 p.m. on November the 16th. After reports of a drive-by shooting, officers found two bullet holes in the home. One had entered through the front door before stopping in a closet, and another passed through a window and destroyed a fish tank. All three occupants told police they were scared, including the children, telling the police that he thought he was going to die. The witnesses told officers that they saw the suspect vehicle flee with three people inside. The second shooting was reported around 4:06 p.m. that same day, 4th Avenue and Carlick Street. And they identified a man identified as Edgar Foster, had a gunshot wound to his left thigh where he was transported to the hospital. He said he'd been walking to the Brother Francis shelter when a vehicle pulled up with three masked males inside. And one of the men exited the vehicle and shot at him twice with an assault-style rifle before the vehicle sped away. So anyway, they chased the vehicle down. Long story short, they chased the vehicle down, and they were able to track it, and they identified the driver and the front passenger, and that they're now facing a big problem, So we'll appear with no apparent motive. Other than the one guy saying he was no snitch while being detained by other officers, and no real motive other than they just were driving around randomly and decided to shoot up. All right, do you ever get the feeling like at some point you're like, boy, we're just doomed with this kind of stuff? Doomed, right? We need some good news, don't we? We need some good news. All right, well, let me give you some good news from up north as well. I'll do that first. So there is a slew of people around the state in various restaurants, and I should pull the so I know it's happening here in Homer as well. My friend Travis and his significant other are doing free Christmas meals to people in need, and I know that they're using the commercial kitchen at the Blue Bus Diner to be able to make all these meals. And they posted on Facebook how grateful they were being able to do that, and so that's a good thing. But Fairbanks restaurant Bobby's in downtown Fairbanks is also putting on a free Thanksgiving meal for those in need. And they've been doing this. This is not the first year. They've been doing this for 23 years. And Bobby Nicoletti, who is the owner of the restaurant, said that each year between 200 and 250 people show up. And so he's been doing a lot of it. And he said it doesn't matter who they are. They come from a variety of backgrounds, and the event is open to everyone that has anybody that has nowhere to go. They'll never turn anybody away. And they also now have been partnered in the last few years with the Stone Soup Kitchen, who then help connect some of these people to services that they may not know about as well. And so while the business side of the restaurant remains closed on Thanksgiving, the doors open from noon to 4, and guests can expect a turkey dinner with stuffing and mashed potatoes, vegetable salad, and dessert. Bobby said that the preparation takes about 2 days and involves the help of a team of 35 volunteers every year. And he says once the dinner ends, they lock the doors, then they take care of the volunteers. He said they're kind of having their own Thanksgiving dinner with the volunteers. And this is some great stuff. And that's the kind of positive thing that we need here. And again, down here in, if somebody who's listening in the chat room and knows where that's taking place, I've forgotten. I couldn't find the post this morning again when I looked for it, but I know Travis is doing it again out of the Blue Bus Diner, and they're offering those meals down here in the Homer area to anybody who may need them. So if anybody in Homer knows where that is, we'll make the announcement here on the other side. See if we can find it. I'll crowdsource the info here in just a minute. But that goes on that happens all over the place. That happens all over the country and all over the state. People, as much as we talk about how horrible people can be, or the crime, or the this or the that, or the hatred or the vitriol, there's still people out there who are giving back, who are caring about their fellow man, and who are willing to help out and offer sustenance and solace in, during the holidays in this rough time of year. So this is some good stuff. And it makes me super happy and super proud to be able to report on stuff like that, because that is, as much as it's crazy and it makes you wonder what's happening in the world when you read stories about like the murders and the shootings and the drive-bys and everything else, then you read a story like that and you go, all is not lost in the world. All is not lost in the world. It's good stories. Good stories, because there are still good people out there ready to help out as well. Frank just told me that Big Daddy's Barbecue in Fairbanks is also giving a free Thanksgiving Day dinner as well. So that's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, and then there was the truck. There was the Mancho Mine truck, the Fairbanks Gold. The troopers are investigating a shooting. Apparently, the Harding Lake Mafia apparently didn't. That wasn't my word. I think that was a Jeff Landfield thing. But they said the Harding Lake Mafia was hard at work. There was 2 of the Mancho Mine trucks, which is it's not Fairbanks Gold. I can't remember the name of the company. They got shot at as they were driving down the road. 2 different times in 2 different locations in Fairbanks. And then Lisa or Gary just said there's a shooting at Three Bears in Santa Claus House area in North Pole. I mean, I just don't want to know anything about it. At some point you're like, what is going on, man? What's going on? Miguel just said, Mike, I thought this was good news week only. I'm trying to find some good news, man. I really am. I really am trying to find some good news. On Thursday, or on Wednesday rather. Thursday, I'm not going to be here. But on Wednesday, we're going to go through a bunch of other stuff that's just fun stuff. Wednesday, we might have a couple headlines to begin with, but after that, it's all going to do it. Black Gold, that's what it was, not Fairbanks. It's Black Gold. That's the name of the company. So apparently they're also on the lookout for a white SUV that's apparently doing drive-by shootings on Black Gold transport vehicles. So I'm sorry, Miguel. I'll work on doing nothing but good news. Now, tomorrow is going to be Brad Keithley and Chris Story, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Yeah, just another reason that, reminder to why you should carry and be ready, why you should go forth armed and be ready, because this crazy stuff happens. Crazy stuff happens out there. All right. Let's do it. We're going to continue here in a moment. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense. Liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll be back with more in just a minute.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay. Well. Hello. All right. Let me go over here and excuse me while I do what I was supposed to do earlier today, but didn't. See how that is? You like how that worked out? Yeah, me too. I thought that was clever. Yeah, we can do that. That works. That looks good. I'll just do that. See how that is? Man, love it when a plan comes together, says Hannibal. All right. Let's do this thing. All good. Good morning. Kevin says, this is in response to Anthony's comment about that Anthony doesn't know. I am apologizing. I have not been sleeping very well, and I am trying to stifle a yawn for this last 45 minutes. So I apologize. Kevin says, in regards to Anthony's comments on not knowing the difference, not Republican, Democrat, can he tell the difference? Kevin says, Anthony Giangelis, it's a struggle even from the inside, especially when strong Republican groups or business people come to the office or legislature asking for money for projects with limited or no return on investment. Hard to be fiscally conservative in a vacuum, or when business leaders ask for long trail money or support defined benefits or raising minimum wage or raising the BSA with no guaranteed results. Most think that Republicanism is simply pro-life and pro-2A, and they forget the fiscal conservatism. And that's part of the problem. He's not wrong. He is not wrong in that regard. All right. You guys haven't done your job yet. This is where I get a chance to chastise you. What are your Thanksgiving traditions? Does anybody have, or are you guys just all so bland and vanilla that you just do the same thing that everybody else does? I mean, do you do a thankfulness deal? Do you cook Thanksgiving pies early and or eat, do you eat pie all week? I mean, what do you do Black Friday? Do you do Thanksgiving football or something different? What is your thing on Thanksgiving? So I'm looking for some help from you guys, because I have some lists of things that, people have suggested. And I mean, some of it sounds some of these lists, let's just say they sound very aspirational, right? Yeah. Football and pig out on pie, says Kim. Okay. This year we're not cooking or doing something different. We're going to eat at Pike's Landing due to an upcoming vacation. Didn't you just come from vacation? Weren't you just out on the beach somewhere, Miguel? I mean, inquiring minds want to know. Rick says, well, it's a good thing that you can't see us on your end. Another thing, most of us have looked at your mug so long that we don't care if you yawn or burp or whatever. I know, but it just seems like it's a little rude. So it is what it is. Thank you, Rick, though. All right. Old school fun, all of it. We do the parades viewing with steaming coffee and cinnamon rolls. Ooh. That sounds delicious. All right. Miguel's out there like, yeah, I'm going on vacation again. What about it? What are you going to do about it? Nothing, man. I just, I mean, these days, my idea of a vacation is, sleeping in till 9:30 and then, spending half the day on the couch. That's my idea of a vacation. Oh, see, Greg does some good stuff there too. We're good. He typically works most of the day on both Thanksgiving and Christmas because he is that kind of guy. He's that guy. We like him. All right. Well, I'm saving all your comments. So if you've got some kind of strange or what most people would think would be odd or just unusual, or maybe you just do the regular, I'd love to hear it. Like I said, there's a few lists out there that make me feel like, boy, I'm an underachiever for Thanksgiving. I just want to kind of hang out and, to do it. And Anthony says,
The Michael Duke Show. Seriously humorous with a pinch of intellect. Sorry. That is humorous. Here's Michael Dukes.
I've been asking the folks in the chat room to tell me what their Thanksgiving traditions are, whether they're just normal traditions or something more unusual. And Anthony just said, he says, I just hope everyone's heating systems hold together long enough for me to actually have a Thanksgiving. When you're in the service industry, that's the tough part, right? I mean, that's the tough part when you are out there, and it is definitely one of the tougher parts out there when things are going out there. All right, so I'm just collecting. I'm collecting a bunch of different traditions from folks in the chat room this morning, and we're going to go through those here in hour 2. I'm trying to lighten things up a little bit, right? And we're also going to go over the 40 best Thanksgiving traditions for the whole family, and there's a whole bunch of them, and that's it's. And like I said, some of these are aspirational because they just sound like too good to be true. right? That just sounds like, was that really what you do? So we're going to get into that in hour 2. And you know what? I think in hour 2, I'm going to open up the phone lines as well. I've got some other stories, but guys, at this point, I just don't. I mean, maybe I should just spend the last few minutes here of this hour going through some of these other stories, or at least just highlighting them for a minute or two to talk about, because guys, I just don't care about some of these other things that are going on in wherever they're going. It's in our state, but at some point you're like, case in point. All right, case in point. 2 stories from the going on in Fairbanks. 2 stories one in Fairbanks, one statewide. So one story by Daniel Cooper over in the Alaska Watchman. And the headline reads, "The Alaska Education Funding Task Force was bought before it began." And it is a very interesting article, because it looks at who the members of the education task force are, where their loyalties lie, what they're doing, and basically it explains what I've been saying for a while now, which is basically that really didn't matter, that they were looking for, this was outcome-based task forcing, right? They already knew what the outcome was that they wanted, so now they're looking for political cover to justify what, where they're going from here. That's what they're doing. And that, in this article does a much better job than I could have done explaining what is going on with that and why. And it basically brings the receipts, because you look at all the money that has been spent or presented in the endorsements and in the political support for these people when they're elected, and it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars from the education union and the lobbies and the PACs and everybody else. And it should be no surprise that whoa, here you go. Here's the list of people. And anyway, it just goes through it. You should go take a look at the article. I will post it up in the chat room. Again, it's being written by Daniel Cooper over at the Alaska Watchman. And then there was a second story, and this will be my last kind of downer news story for the day. And then in the next segment, maybe we'll just open up the phone lines and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, along with some good news and some other things. The Fairbanks School Board has rejected the members' plea to pull sexually explicit library books from the library and, stop making them available to children. Board member Loa Carroll Hubbard asked fellow board members to help strengthen the public policy during the November 8th meeting to ensure that children do not have access to sexually charged materials in the school libraries. She noted that there were roughly 500 books in Fairbanks school libraries that have stirred controversy due to their sexual nature. But all of her fellow board members were like, sorry, we're not interested. Board member Meredith Maple addressed the issue by choosing to defend one of the controversial books in question, called Looking for Alaska by John Green. The book includes graphic sexual scenes in which 2 teenagers are depicted engaging in multiple sexual acts. But this is always my favorite. Trust the experts. Trust the experts. She argued that the book was selected for children by competent education professionals and librarians, and that their judgment should be trusted. I trust our policies as they're written, she said, adding that the district has, quote, professionals that have been educated about what decisions should be in front of which audiences, what should be taught in the classroom, and what should be available for checkout and what shouldn't be available. They're the remember, they're not the parents, not what you want, not what you, no, you should trust the experts. And this went on and on. This happened all the time. Everybody, Timothy Duran echoed the same thing. And then Morgan Dulane said she was comfortable with the current policy. And they talked about how, all this stuff is available on the internet anyway. And what does it matter that it's in the libraries, because they can watch it. They could get it at home, or they could get it on their phones or whatever. But what they seem to be missing out of this whole conversation, and I'm running out of time for this segment, because again, the fact that we've got books talking about in junior high school libraries and talking about how, oral sex and all this other kind of crazy stuff, guys. Crazy stuff that I wouldn't want to expose my kids to. Anyway, the fact that we're going about all this, and what they're missing on this whole thing is that parents are leaving the school. While the school board may be adamant about exposing children to these types of books, a growing number of Fairbanks families have pulled their children from the district for home education or private schooling. In fact, from 2003 to 2025, Fairbanks lost 3,400 students, dropping from 15,000 down to 11,800. And in October, the district announced they'd lost another 589 students, so down to 11,300. This is what's happening. This is at the same time that the district is having a hard time teaching kids basic stuff, basic academics. The state reported that 65%, more than 65%, of Fairbanks students are failing in math, reading, and science. But by golly, we've got to make sure that they've got the books in there that says Johnny's got two mommies, or how to make two mommies, or whatever the books are that are in there. Right? All that stuff's got to be in there, but we couldn't possibly be bothered to, work on the basics of math, reading, and science. Anyway, that's where we are right now. So I'm done with that. I'm done talking about it because it just irritates me. Why you would have your kids in public schools anymore. I know some of you can't, but if you could, why? The Michael Duke Show. All right, I need a second here. Just don't go anywhere. Okay, sorry about that. I was trying to fix something in the next hour there. Okay. Boy, that was a loud, wasn't it? Okay. Coffee. Need coffee. Most military families are now 100% homeschool, said Miguel. I mean, I don't, maybe, but yeah, I guarantee you that the more that they continue to try and cling to this crazy stuff, the more kids that will leave. Yeah. I mean, the more kids that will leave. Anthony said, oh, these same expert librarians and officials that approve of Drag Queen Story Hour in public libraries. Yeah, those same experts. Shocking, right? These are the same group of. I busted something there for. Let's see. Yeah, Toby, their hard work. I saw that. Let's see. Gave up Thanksgiving. I'm scrolling backwards here. Amy's going to a friend's house. Ooh, 152-pound pig on Wednesday from Delta Junction. Oh, man. I got a side of hog one year from Delta Meat and Sausage. Those guys. Look at the weather forecast for Thanksgiving in Homer. Frozen ground and rain makes for ice. I know. We're supposed to get an inch of rain in Homer on Thursday. That ought to be fun. Let's see. Ron said he gave up his Thanksgiving and Christmas so that his alternate could spend them with his family. Because, man, that was awesome, Ron. That's awesome. Education professional, said Brian. I know, right? Right? Don't worry. Fairbanks Public School kids can't probably read anyway in the library. I mean, you know. Yeah, and the lady that replaced Melissa basically said, this policy is good. The books are fine. Fine. What's going on? Yeah. All right. What would happen if an adult would just hand out these books out for free in the local neighborhood kids for free? What would happen? He'd probably be arrested. Yeah, don't forget deferred maintenance. Yeah, don't make me today, okay? Really, don't make me. I'm still going through here. Deciding to homeschool our kids, says Rebecca, has been the best decision we've made. I'm with you, sister. I'm with you. I'm with you. Okay. All right. Let's see. Hey, look at that. Host online. I don't have much. I got distracted. Why did you guys let me get distracted? It's all your fault. It's all your fault. I'm trying to get the phone lines up and running. Hold the line. I don't want to talk because it blows everything out here. Okay. Ready? Let's do it. Here we go.
Thanks.
Yep. Let me just turn that down so that you guys don't have your eardrums blasted out. Then we'll get. Your roll. We're going to open the phone line. There we go. Just waiting for everything to come together. And yep. Okay. All right. Phone lines are now open. See how that works? All right. Well, guys, let's get to it. Shall we? Hour 2 is dead ahead. The Michael Duke Show. Let's do this thing.
Whoa, buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need. And we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for
Live around the world on the interwebs at michaeldukeshow.com and across the interwebs, across the state of Alaska. This, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Good morning, my friends. How are you on this beautiful Monday of a short week? And I said last week that we were going to do some good news stuff. Now somebody misquoted me and saying we were only going to do only good news this week, and that was not the truth because I had to get through some of the stories and things that were going on over the weekend, and we had to kind of get those out of the way here in hour one. But in hour two, we're going to do it, and let me just say why. Let me just tell you why we're going to do this. If you've been listening to this show for any number of years, you know that I'm human like anybody else, right? I make mistakes. And as I near the end of the year, you probably can hear the weariness in my voice and in my demeanor as we start to talk about some of the political things and everything else that's going on. You probably, you probably can hear it. I'm tired, right? I'm tired and I'm frustrated and I'm watching these things and I'm like, why do we focus on a lot of this stuff? And quite honestly, that's kind of, it brings it to mind that there are just certain things that we can't control, certain things we can control, certain things we can affect. All the national stuff, I really don't care. I mean, I know you probably find that hard to believe as a talk show host about how can you not care about, this or that, or the Epstein files or I read the stories or I watch the video or whatever. I mean, I stay informed, but I don't waste my angst or I don't focus on it, I guess. I don't give in to the agitation. And that's what this, these days when we start saying we're just going to talk about good news, we're just going to talk about, the thing is, if we could get beyond all the partisan bickering, if we could get beyond and really approach each other with the love in our hearts that Jesus really commanded us to have, not to get too religious on you or anything, then maybe we could find some common ground and maybe some of this fracturing would stop. Now, I know, some of these people, I know there's people on both sides that are like that. There's people in the chat room right now who that I'm sure could just, they're the kind of people who walk into the room, kick open the door, walk into the room and basically say, I'm here to kill a commie, right? And they're looking for commies everywhere. They're looking, and there's people on the other side that are the same way, that, you're a fascist or a Nazi or whatever. Okay. I understand that there's some people that that's their whole identity, that that's who they are. That's everything that's wrapped up in that. But again, I came to that conclusion a number of years ago that I couldn't control a lot of those things, that I had no effect on a lot of those things. And while I do need to be informed about them, I don't need to give them my energy. And so that's, and especially near the end of the year, this is where I kind of just stopped giving my energy to a lot of stuff other than trying to find common ground with people that I know and with friends and relatives and everything else. And what I really want to show, especially here in this hour, we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving traditions. What I really want to show is that there is some common ground amongst most people. Now, maybe not the blue-haired furry lover, or the right-wing alt-right, neo-pagan Nazi, whatever. I mean, maybe there's a few people on the fringes, on the left and the right, that we can't find much, in common with. Although I would argue that maybe. But, we could find common ground with just about. I'm always reminded about the fact that early on, after I moved to Anchorage, I was interviewing on a weekly or biweekly basis. I was interviewing the spokesperson for the Alaska Democratic Party. Jake was his name, and he was a heck of a guy. He was a super nice guy, and he had a sense of humor. And we didn't agree on a lot, but there were things that we had in common. And we went out to lunch several times just to hang out. And I know that that's hard for people to believe. Why would you hang out with a Democrat? Why would you hang out with a gay Democrat who didn't believe anything that you... Because I was looking for common ground. And we had some amazing conversations before the leadership of the Democratic Party told him to stop coming on the show. Why? I don't know. We were giving him his opportunity to speak and have his points. I don't know. Then Zach Fields took his position before he was in the legislature. And then that immediately came to a stop. But, we still had the ability to find common ground and to talk about things that were interesting. And to have... I don't understand why everything has to be so scorched earth. I've never wanted to be that way. I've always wanted to be able to find common ground with people. And granted, yes, I'm sure that you'll show me the exception to every rule. You'll show me the one person that we can't find common ground with because they're absolutist and they believe everybody should believe like they believe, and if not, everybody else should die. There are people out there like that. But again, I would argue that those are the exception and not the rule. So, anyway, why was I going off on this tangent? Because I just wanted to, I want to find the common ground with people, whether they agree with me or not. And I'm hoping that by talking about things like, simple, or things that you do with your family, kind of the funny or the weird or the unusual. I just thought that would kind of be a fun way to see if we all have something in common, that our family is just as nutty as yours, right? Kind of thing. That's what I wanted to bring to the forefront on this. So, anyway, I forgot to tell you, I opened up the phone lines too. So the phone lines are open. If you want to sound off and tell us what your favorite family tradition is for Thanksgiving, if you think it's unusual, or if you just want to chat about something, feel free to do so. 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864. Let's go over to the phones. Bonnie, I believe this is Bonnie, is on the phone. And see if that's true. Hello. Good morning, Bonnie. Is that you? And I see Bonnie is talking, but something happened there, Bonnie. Bonnie, I apologize. I'm going to put you back on hold. Everything was working, and it's because I forgot to unpush the. See, I forgot to unpush the other mute button. There's 2 mute buttons, and I had them both on. So let's try this again. Hello, Bonnie. What's on your mind?
Can you hear me now?
I can, in fact, hear you now.
Well, I have to tell you about a story about my husband.
Okay.
This is before I married him, but that's another story. So his mother told him to go and get a turkey for Thanksgiving dinner. So my husband, I love him dearly. He's kind of a jokester, funny guy. So what he did, he went and bought a turkey, yes, but it was a live turkey. So before anybody could come home, before that, he went into the house and tied the turkey to the leg of the kitchen table and then ran over to the house. He lived next door. And ran over there.
But he got the turkey. All right, Mom, I got the turkey. It's all on you now. Oh, my gosh.
So Merry Christmas and Thanksgiving. And you have to remember, and I try to too, why we live here in Alaska.
Yeah.
Because it's different and we don't have to deal. We have our good and we have our bad and we have our ugly. But I would not live anywhere else. So happy Christmas and Thanksgiving to everyone. You have a good day now, Michael Dukes.
I
Bye-bye.
appreciate that, Bonnie. Thank you for the story. That was a great story. I appreciate that. That's what we needed, a little liveliness in the story. I love that. Don't send me out for a turkey because I'll bring one live and tie it to the tie it to the kitchen table. That is absolutely great. Absolutely great. All right. Yes, I actually what? Michael Dukes hangs out with gay Democrats? Sometimes I do. That's just it is what it is. That was kind of my whole point. Sourdough Steel says most people, if they paid attention, would realize that we all have a lot more in common than we don't. Mainstream news and politics intentionally keeps us divided. And I, again, think that that's true and it's working as intended. It's working as intended to keep us divided. And I think that we need to just take a step back sometimes and realize that we do have a lot more in common with people than we don't. If you take the politics out of the mix, we all care about most of the same things. We care about our family. We care about our lives and our careers and where we're going. We want to make a difference. We all probably want close to the same types of things. We just may disagree in how we get there, right? That's that's not a big deal too. And yes, maybe on Wednesday, not only will we have some good news, but we might have some food news. I know Harold is big on he wants the recipes. We're going to bring up some recipes as well, and I'll pull some stuff out of the Wayback Machine, and we'll throw some holiday recipes out there as well. Okay, so that's going to go. And yes, Sourdough Steel was like, Nerd Corner. Here we go. He wants me to do a Nerd Corner kind of segment where we talk about nerdy things. Sourdough, I'm going to task you with giving me a list of topics that you think the Nerd Corner should cover. All right. And yes, I am still working on having Rod Pyle from JPL and NASA on the program. He's a good friend of the show, but it's been a hot minute since we had him on. And so we'll see if we can have him on for a good hour of space conversation as well. Maybe we could talk about 3i Atlas because it's doomed. We're doomed. Maybe they should have just called it Wormwood, right? Or something. For if you know, right? If you know, that's what that's all about. Okay, good news continues. So again, if you have some wacky or wild holiday tradition, including tying a live turkey to a kitchen table, then feel free to give us a call, 319-527-3864, or join us in the chat room and post it up there. I've got about 10 different things that people have said. We'll see what's going on. Space is fake. What? See, this is why we can't have nice things, because Ken comes in and says things like space is fake. Was the moon landing a fake? Is the Earth flat, Ken? I just want to know. Is the Earth flat? The Anunnaki are on 3i Atlas. Oh man, we could have are we going to have a Y-Files type episode here on the program? Maybe we should do that. That would be fun. Maybe I should see if I can get AJ Gentile on the program to talk about the Wi-Fi. That is great. All right, we got to go. The Michael Duke Show continues. We're going to do some of your favorite Thanksgiving traditions and more. I'm going to tell you some of my favorite traditions, and we'll see what you guys have to say as well. All right, we got to go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
Listened to by more staffers in Juneau than any other show, because their bosses told them to. And after what they just heard, oh man, they're going to be pissed.
You're a bad, bad man.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay, fine. Let me see where you guys are at here. Have I ever read the history of Black Friday? I have not. Frank, if you want to call in and feel free to tell us about the history of Black Friday, that would make an interesting discussion. I'm sorry, I'm reading some of the comments here. While it's good to be informed, says Richie, however, getting whipped up about national stuff that we can't really do anything about directly, that are out of our circle of influence, is like sitting in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do for a while, but you never really get anywhere. I would argue that it's actually even worse than that. I would argue that it's actually doing harm to us. That it's actually doing harm to people physically. That getting whipped up about things that you have absolutely no control over is a good way to have a nervous breakdown. I remember I was angry. I was an angry guy all the time back when I was paying attention to all that kind of stuff. I was just angry all the time. It was not good for me. And, I would argue that there's a lot of people out there who are, they're ginned up about this stuff and it's making them sick in a lot of ways, stressing them out, agitating them, making them angry, or worried or fearful, when you could just let it go. Let it go. I know there's a song. I don't know what the song is, but let it go. Right? Richie also said getting back to civil discourse is the only way things will grow and change in a decent manner. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. If people stop being reactionary immediately, they may realize that their fellow citizen isn't the real enemy. I agree with that. Cole said, my political beliefs are all that I have left. The commies took everything else. Okay. I mean, all right. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Thank you, Ron. I'll get that. Melissa says she has a killer recipe for peanut butter pie. I do love me some peanut butter. I do love me some pie. That sounds like a good deal. Oh, man. Chris just said, it's not a Thanksgiving story, but when my son first married his bride, she wanted him to do the grocery shopping. So he took his sister to the store and he bought 70 boxes of Hamburger Helper. Both he and his sister thought it was funny. His bride did not. Although he does not have to do the grocery shopping anymore. It's I guess that's one way to do it. That's one way to do it. Mercury is in retrograde. Be careful. I don't see. Yeah, I don't think most people are doing Black Friday anymore. I think that's just changed. My parents are staunch conservatives. They can tell you about the most obscure Washington, D.C. cabinet member of some liberal office holder, but not their local representatives. The left is guilty also. Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Big Bear Dog says, what? You're supposed to be kind to or friends with people who are different than yourself? I know. Shocking, right? Shocking. Oh, man. I always make great grandma's bread pudding. Oh, you know what? My grandmother has a bread pudding recipe, and you just made me want it. That's it. I'm making bread pudding. I'm making bread pudding.
The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Huh. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
Okay, fine. You guys ready to do this thing? The conversations in the chat room during the break are some of the most interesting parts of the show, quite honestly, for me anyway. I love some of the comments. Big Bear Dog over on YouTube says, what? You're supposed to be kind to or friends with people who are different than yourself? Shocking, I know. Shocking, I know. Oh man, it is it's some crazy stuff. All right, well, let's talk about some holiday traditions. And Thanksgiving specifically, because we're going to save some of the Christmas stuff for later on in December. I mean, we're still going to cover some politics in December. We're going to cover the new appointments and some other things, but especially as we get down closer to the end of the year. And again, just a housekeeping note for those of you who are not been with the show for a long time, but we always take the week between, well, basically for Christmas through New Year's. We basically take that 2 week period. I'm going to be taking off from the 22nd, which is Monday, all the way through to the 2nd of January, which is a Friday. So I'll have one day a show, and then we'll go on from there. But anyway, so I'll be off for that period of time. So we're literally going to have about we're 4 weeks. That's all we got is 4 weeks left of the broadcast for me this year before I take that vacation. And so the 3 weeks in December we'll fill with some politics and some other things, but I guarantee you that final week of the December 15th onward is going to be nothing but feel good stuff. In fact, I might even have Brad forego well, maybe not, because the 15th is the day that the governor's budget comes out. So maybe we'll do an extra segment or something with Brad for for holiday stuff, for his top 3 holiday things or something. It'll be fun. But the next 3 weeks are going to be, we'll have lots of guests, and I'm going to bring in some authors. Because next Thursday, I forgot. Next Thursday, we're going to have on the program one of the founders of the Wheelchairs for Warriors. That right? Am I right? That's the organization. Yeah, Wheelchairs for Warriors. Crystal Larimore is going to be on the program next Thursday to talk about the founding of Wheelchairs for Warriors and what they do. And I'm going to try and bring on some other people like that, people who are making a difference in the community, and just kind of fun stuff and things like that. So that's going to be fun. It'll be a good time. Well, let's talk about first, I guess I'll talk about some of my family's Thanksgiving traditions. We're I guess I would consider it to be a traditional family. Growing up, we would always, we would have a turkey at the house, but we always had Thanksgiving dinner with my grandparents. The whole family would get together and have Thanksgiving dinner with the grandparents growing up. And so it was always a big time. Always had the kids' table. And then, the grownups would sit. It was always such a great deal. It was always such an exciting time when I was able to go from the kids' table to the adults' table. I remember that being a big deal, as well, in doing that. But we would have the traditional stuff. We were very traditional as far as the eats at the Thanksgiving table. Always some turkey, always the stuffing. There's always the green bean casserole. I know some people hate green bean casserole. I love green bean casserole. I mean, what's not to love? It's mushroom soup and green beans and fried onions and maybe some bacon if you're super sexy about it. You sprinkled up some bacon in there. I mean, what's not to like about anything in that? It's delicious. And then, of course, as we got older, and my grandparents passed away, we continued on doing our own thing. After Terry and I got married, we started having our own Thanksgivings together. Obviously, we would have Thanksgiving with her parents, and then eventually we had our own kids, and it's all great. But of course, so we just have some traditions. Terry always does we do some Brussels sprouts, and boy, did I tell you, I got some Brussels sprouts the other day. The damn things are the size of, they're almost the size of baseballs. They're between golf ball and baseball size. They're huge. Anyway, you Brussels sprouts sliced up, you cook bacon in the pan, and then you put the Brussels sprouts into the bacon grease, and you stir them up, you get them cooking, and then you pour chicken broth over the top and you let them cook. Oh, they're so good. Terry makes her grandmother's stuffing recipe. And sometimes she makes different types of stuffing as well as a secondary dish. So we do, she does the oyster stuffing one year she did cornbread stuffing. And then of course she does the garlicky mashed potatoes, garlic cheesy mashed potatoes. A few years she's done potatoes au gratin, which is an amazing dish. She got the recipe from Bill McKnight at Aviator Steakhouse. It's amazing. And then of course she does the sweet potatoes, which I don't eat sweet potatoes. It's one of the few things I won't eat. It's just something. Squash. I don't like squash or sweet potatoes. But she does sweet potatoes. Everybody else loves them. So that's kind of the tradition. We eat later than most people. I know most people have Thanksgiving dinner at like 3:00 in the afternoon. We don't usually eat till 6:00 at night, 6, maybe 7, depending on what's going on. But that's just how we've done it. And we always hang out and, sometimes we'll watch a movie. I will say that we do watch there. We always watch. There's a sorry, we're weird, but there's a single episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and the episode is called Pangs, and the whole episode surrounds her trying to have a Thanksgiving dinner while being attacked by ghosts and other things. And it's one of the most hysterical episodes ever. We always try and watch that one episode around Thanksgiving. And when my kids were little, they always wanted to watch the Thanksgiving Charlie Brown. So Peanuts and Pangs. That's the kind of our things here. And it's one of the funniest episodes. And it's fun. It's just fun to kind of to do that. And it's a tradition. The same thing on Christmas. As we get close to Christmas, we always watch the Supernatural Christmas episode because it's hysterical. Anyway, so that's kind of our family's tradition for Thanksgiving. And then, of course, the following day, we always have the Dickens sandwich, right? I don't know where it got the name. It's like Charles Dickens, but literally you can either do it with potato rolls, but you take stuffing and you make a little patty out of the stuffing and you fry it, till it's crisp on one side. And then you put turkey and cranberry sauce and Havarti cheese and spicy mustard and maybe even a little bit of green bean casserole, and you make a sandwich out of it. That's a Dickens sandwich. And it is amazing. Just awesome. Anyway, we'll that's my Thanksgiving. So now we're going to get into some of the other Thanksgiving traditions that other people have brought up, and we'll be doing that as well. My dear aunt, and on Wednesday we're going to do some of the special Thanksgiving recipes that people have shared with me over the years. Oh dang, that sounds good. Teresa just said, my dear late aunt's recipe for cranberry torte is special because she used orange syrup to marinate the cranberry pound cake. Oh man, that sounds good. You'll have to share that with us, Teresa. That sounds like a delicious recipe. All right. Well, we're coming up on the break. And so we're going to do the break. And then we come back. We'll start talking about some of your traditions from folks in the chat room and a few of the aspirational ones from folks out there around the country. We'll be back with more of the Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll be back right after this.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes,
allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Oh, man. I'm over here. Brian's over here dropping us some wisdom. Talking about dirty eggs, which I'd never heard of. Dirty eggs for breakfast. And what is dirty eggs? You brown up sausage, blend up eggs with a bit of milk and some cream cheese. Once the sausage is brown, You pour in the egg mixture and scramble. So it's like crumbled sausage. Oh, man, that sounds like it does not suck. Oh, yeah, stuffing in a waffle iron does make a great sandwich. If you have never done that, that is the way to do it. You put stuffing in a waffle iron and you force it down, and it makes a great sandwich bread. I've done that with Dickens's, made the entire thing out of stuffing. It takes time consuming, is why we normally went to the other things. Ben Carpenter said, Thanksgiving dinner is like a fiscal plan. It takes many components to make a great dinner. If one component is missing, someone is disappointed. Way to bring it back. Way to bring us back around, Ben. Way to do it. Folgers crystals. Man, I'd rather lick a cat's ass. Never mind. No, I'm serious. Teresa is talking about her aunt's recipe for cranberry tort. She used orange syrup to marinate the cranberry pound cake made with nuts, dates, and buttermilk. Teresa, you're gonna have to email me that. You're gonna have to email me that recipe. That sounds delicious. I want to try it. There's my email right at the bottom of the screen. Just email me that recipe. I want to try it. Sourdough Steel said, I do that with eggs too. Bacon or sausage. The name is a little more nefarious than dirty though. Oh, I really? I want to know. Let's see. We used to watch Paint Your Wagon on Thanksgiving Day. That's great, man. You know how long it's been? I haven't even thought about Paint Your Wagon in years. And how do you cook your turkey? I mean, I've heard about brining. I've heard about under the skin injections. I've heard about deep frying it in the peanut oil. I mean, I heard of all kinds of things. That is, how do you cook your turkey? Bread pudding, said Kim. My reminiscence hit a 10. Yeah, my grandmother makes, it was just an amazing bread pudding. So good. And it's been so long since I made it. I think I'm going to have to make it this week. Now I got to go find my my recipe for it. I know I've got it somewhere. Since we moved, sometimes it's trying to find where stuff is after you've moved is always tough. The Westminster Dog Show. Is that on Thanksgiving too? Brussels sprouts and broccoli, they're the same going in as heading out. No, they're not. If so, you need to chew more. That's all I'm saying. If you need to chew more. If Brussels sprouts and broccoli for you are the same coming out as they were going in, you really need to learn to chew your food. That's all I'm saying. Big Bear Dog said, yeah, graduating to the adult table and getting a glass of wine was a monumental event. Hey, the Fairbanks Community Food Bank filled its need for over 3,000 turkeys. They still need some rolls and pies, but 3,000 turkeys. That's a lot. Thank you, Melissa, for giving us the heads up on that. Okay. I think I'm all caught up. I think I'm back to where I'm just because bacon. Yeah. Bread pudding. All right. So we're going to get cut. Who's going to eat their weight in deviled eggs? Me? Who doesn't like deviled eggs, man? Deviled eggs are amazing. My wife makes like 3 different varieties of deviled eggs usually. Oh, Teresa says she's going to try and find the recipe. I got the recipe card when I was a teenager, and that was quite a while ago. Well, if you find it, I'd love to see that. That sounds good. Okay. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. I made Hassenpfeffer. I made Hassenpfeffer pie about 1 a.m. this morning, just north of New Nilchik. Little bunny stew, little bunny pancake. Here we go.
The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
Now we're going to get into some of the top 10 Thanksgiving traditions, and then maybe some other ones as well. But I went to Reddit because, Reddit, and thought, this is a great one. So what's your unusual Thanksgiving traditions? And people talk about having a Snoopy Thanksgiving. They do the Snoopy Thanksgiving the night before. They serve everything that they have on the Thanksgiving show: jelly beans, pretzels, popcorns, and toast, and things like that while they watch the show. That's kind of fun. Somebody started a tradition of baking a pumpkin pie the Sunday before Thanksgiving and eating it for dessert all week leading up to the holiday. That's a pretty simple thing, but I imagine it's excruciatingly enjoyable. Another one says that their highlight for their holiday is to always make sure that they take the cranberry sauce out of the can in its perfect shape and make sure that they serve it in their fanciest crystal bowl. Just the can shape. I feel like that's like trolling somebody at an epic level. Somebody else said that after they eat and they have dessert, they draw names for their Secret Santa event, and they decide to use and if they use the fake Christmas tree, they get it set up and decorated throughout the day by the kids and adults who aren't cooking, which is a great way to do it. We're going to be doing some Christmas decorating as well on Thanksgiving. The turkey spanking, though, I thought was very interesting. This user on Reddit said, turkey spanking. We spanked the turkey. In 2008, my husband did it for the first time. I believe he was just trying to distribute the underskin marinade that he just injected. We lived in Florida, so it was sunny. Our moods were festive. Music was blasting. We laughed when he did it, so he had us all do it. Me and our 4 sons each gave the turkey a whack. We did it every year after that. My husband died in 2011. We still do this every year in remembrance of him. And then she said, so many people responded to the story and have offered to spank their turkeys in honor of her husband. That she says is Tony. So if you spank your turkey this year, just make sure you say this one's for Tony as you whack the turkey. That one's for Tony. That's a great. I mean, there's some great unusual stuff going on out there, right? I mean, that's the great thing. But what about folks here locally? Well, let me pull over here. I got about my dad would dance the turkey every year. My dad would dance around the room. He would dance the turkey around the room every year, or he would make it dance on the plate. That's what that's the question. Which one of those is the answer there, Melissa? And no, the turkey was not alive when it got spanked. It's after he injected a marinade under the skin. I hope it wasn't alive. That would be considered cruel and unusual. So Kim says that he watches football and pigs out on pies. I mean, I know it's a big football day. I've never been a fan of football. I've never been a huge sports fan, quite honestly, overall. But I know that's a big thing for many people. So football is a big thing. Brian says we do the parade viewing with steaming coffee and cinnamon rolls. So you watch the Macy's Day Parade. Again, I can't think of anything more boring, but people do it. They love it. I mean, it's a tradition. Tradition doesn't necessarily have to be about being the most exciting or even most fun. It's about the tradition itself. That's the thing. Renee said old school fun. That's what she does. She does all of it. She loves the old school fun. Frank said, I just do the same old dinner and football. Sometimes I have to snow blow the driveway. Man, Frank, you are just so much fun out there. Tawny said that they like playing cards with friends. That's cool. That's cool. I mean, do you have the friends over for Thanksgiving and then play cards with them, or do you get together after the families have eaten? I think that's a good question. Feel free, by the way, if you want to call in and tell me what your Thanksgiving thing is. I'd love to hear it. 319-527-3864. Greg down here in Homer, my good friend Greg, he says, I typically plow or sand most of the day on both Thanksgiving and Christmas so that folks can get to their families and friends. Then I go home to a good meal made with love by my wife. See, that's some good stuff right there. Thank you, Greg, for all that you do. Chris over in Seldovia says they eat and then they start decorating for Christmas. Yes. I think that's a thing. Is you will immediately, just start putting stuff up. You might as well do it. Melissa says her Thanksgiving tradition equals hockey. Apparently she's taking her kids to some kind of tournament or something. I mean, good for them. Great. I mean, I would miss the turkey. What do? Go to Boston Market and eat a turkey dinner at Boston Market or Cracker Barrel or Golden Corral or something? I don't know. That's okay. That's good. Amy says she's going to a friend's house for Thanksgiving dinner, and that was always good. We have one friend, a married couple, and she's actually away right now dealing with something for their property or family or whatever. So he's here alone. So we invited him over, but he'd already gotten invited from somebody else. But yeah, invite somebody over for Thanksgiving. That's a good one. Ron says, I gave up my Thanksgiving and Christmas to my alternate, because he works on the slope, so that my alternate can spend those holidays with their kids. And then he said, even though my son and I are on the same schedule, we spend our holidays at work. When we get together for Thanksgiving, we go around the table and each of us will tell us what it is we are thankful for. And we do that as well. We try and do that every year. We don't always remember every year, but we try and do it every year. And then Sourdough Steel said, I always make great grandma's bread pudding recipe for Thanksgiving. Seriously, the best recipe ever. My grandmother made a bread pudding with French bread and cinnamon and cream, and now I want it so bad. I have to go dig up the recipe. I got to figure out where the recipe is, because I've got to have it. And when I was talking about watching Pangs, Sourdough Steel also said that he watches the King of the Hill Thanksgiving episode. He said, I watched that on my own. The one where Hank smokes a turkey and tries to fly to Montana with it. Does he try to fly to Montana on the turkey, or does he? I mean, I just want to know. Mike, when we cook, it's usually a turkey, pork shoulder, green bean casserole, pecan pie, and flan. Ham as well, and of course with pineapple and cherry, pancit, which is a Filipino dish, mashed potatoes and homemade dark gravy, tostones, which is fried circular plantains, 2 different types of rice, white rice and arroz con granules, yellow rice with chickpeas to translate, and of course the eggnog begins, etc. Man, I don't know how I would make it. I wouldn't make it through the first course with all that food. It sounds amazing. It sounds absolutely amazing. But turkey and ham, I'm going to have to draw the line at turkey and ham. I'm going to say turkey is my Thanksgiving thing. Now, ham is definitely my Christmas thing. Although we have had a ham and a turkey, ham is the star of the show for Christmas. Bourbon and brown sugar ham is the star of the show for Christmas. My granddad's recipe, my dad's recipe, and it is a winner. It is a winner. Ron said, when I was growing up, my grandfather and I would go pheasant hunting for the day after Thanksgiving. We would have ham and turkey sandwiches and dessert for Thanksgiving Day. On one occasion, we got ready to have lunch. We opened the camper shell door to find out that our bird dog had gotten the ice just open, and they had a great lunch. Of course they did. Of course they did. That's what it is right there. Yeah, bread pudding. Everybody's mentioning bread pudding. There's different kinds of bread pudding, but this one specifically is different than any other kind that I had. It's very, it has a lot of eggs in it, so it's very custardy, and it's got the cinnamon. And because you use like a loaf of French bread, it's a very different consistency than some of the denser ones. Oh, it's so good, so good. It's absolutely delicious. Jalapeno ham. Somebody just said jalapeno ham in the chat room. Debbie, need to change that out for jalapeno ham. I love jalapenos. I love ham. Melissa says she finds bread pudding disgusting. Well, it's because you just haven't eaten the right kind. Let's see. I guess we're boring, said Barbara, but I always took a few minutes to talk about Edward Doty and the Mayflower Compact. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, why not? You should. Nothing wrong with that. Ben says for breakfast, they have a tradition: cinnamon rolls with maple frosting and scrambled eggs for late breakfast is a great tradition. I mean, that sounds like my Christmas tradition, which my dad started many years ago, and that is Christmas crepes, which is thin crepes with a strawberry ricotta filling and drizzled with strawberries and powdered sugar on top. That was always the Christmas morning. It's a lot of work, but it's just delicious. A lot of work, but delicious. So it's gonna be good. Oh man, it's time for coffee for me. All right. It's time for coffee. I'm gonna go enjoy it. And I hope that you are getting in the spirit, my friends. I hope you're listening to Christmas music. I hope you're talking with your friends and family. I hope you're thinking about Christmas memories and holidays and Thanksgiving. We're gonna continue. Thank you, my friends. Be kind, love one another, live well. We'll see you guys tomorrow with Brad Keithley, Chris Story. And then Wednesday, it's going to be nothing but fun stuff all day long. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. Okay, my friends. Sorry, I was just scrolling backwards. I always bring a pack of hot dogs to Thanksgiving in honor of the turkey shoot tournaments. Oh, I see. Yeah, no. Yeah, there's going to be some Alaska float is going to be in the Macy's Day Parade this year. Teresa said something about it. Yep. Mike, you deserve an adult beverage each day this week of the show. Well deserved, brother. I've got a brand new bottle of Japanese whiskey sitting out on my counter here. One of these minutes. I mean, sometime today. I mean, right now I'm going to go. No, later. All right, my friends. Oh, wait. One year when I was a child, my mom forgot to start the oven. So every year it's a running joke to turn the oven off at a random time during the afternoon. You guys are the worst. The worst. All right, my friends. We will see you guys later. Have a good one.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.